Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 3 of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. I'm Easy.
I am Beard number 1.
And I'm Beard number 2.
Thank you for joining us. Today we have Gigi Smith on later in the episode. Stay tuned for that. A great interview, a lot of insight from her and a little bit about her background and where she came from and her time here.
To get it in. Throws it to Ewing. Ewing surrounded. 2 seconds to shoot. He drives. He shoots. He missed. He missed. He missed. We ring the bell, baby. Ding dong. The witch is dead.
Takes the ball at the 30. He's hit and got away. Back upfield to the 35 to the 40. He's to the 45.
Hawktalk. Like I said, this is episode number 3, so we'll go ahead and get right into stuff and kick things off with a little bit of recap on UNCW baseball the last week or so. Mike, go ahead.
Well, not the ideal time to be talking baseball here. They're on a 4-game losing streak here. After we talked to you last week, they had lost the second game of 2 against Coastal Carolina. William & Mary came to town, and a couple of close games. One game not so close, but Seahawks were swept at home for the first time in conference play since 1998. Doesn't happen a lot at Brooks Field. A CAA team comes in and takes 3 from the Seahawks, but it's kind of the same stories as been all year. They're sitting at 15-14 overall in the season, 3-3 in the conference. You have some pros, you have some cons. If you can clean up the mistakes, you'd see the difference in the game, but that's just what it is right now. Sometimes they're not hitting. Sometimes the pitchers are missing their spots. Sometimes people are falling asleep on the base pass or in the field, and a couple of errors here and there, and that's the difference in, a 2-3 game on Friday and on Sunday. So probably a pro here. The game midweek this week, supposed to be at Campbell, got rained out. That leaves them going to Kennesaw State on the weekend. It's a non-conference, the last non-conference weekend series for the Seahawks. They're going to have all their arms available for the weekend here, so it'll be interesting to see who gets used and where. This is the last chance to really kind of solidify that weekend rotation. I'm thinking maybe we'll see some changes in there. I could be wrong. Who knows? After that, they're back in North Carolina. It's a 5-game week for them upcoming. Tuesday, April the 9th, East Carolina comes to Wilmington. That's always a good time. Wednesday, April the 10th, they go to Campbell. That was the game that was supposed to happen this week. On the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, April 12th, 13th, 14th, Northeastern comes into town. This was the number 1 team in the CAA last season, so this could be a big series here in April. And then one more big game on the next Tuesday at home, Brooksfield, North Carolina State University. They're a top 5 program right now.
Okay. What the William & Mary series, though, you think, honestly, William & Mary's kind of a legit contender this year, right? So, it wasn't that out of the ordinary for them to get swept, right? I think
it was out of the ordinary to get swept at home. Like I said, that hadn't happened in 2 decades. So usually the Seahawks are a top contender and defend their home field pretty well. Again, it was 2 close decisions. It was 2-3 on both Friday and Sunday. Luke Giselle had a great outing on Friday, had a no-hitter going into the 7th inning, and that's kind of when things unraveled. And the Seahawks just couldn't do enough to keep that lead or regain that lead in the 9th inning. On Sunday, again, just a couple of blunders here and there, really base running blunders and errors cost them. The score should have been the other way, or it really should have been, like a 2-0 shutout for the Seahawks or something like that. On Sunday. Saturday, kind of pitching got him in trouble. Brody Lawson, we talked about him last week as the CA Rookie of the Week, did not follow that up with a solid performance, and he kind of got the Seahawks down early. Don't want to put it all on somebody's shoulders. You can't win a game by only scoring 1 run. But the Seahawks got down early in that one and just, again, couldn't claw their way back into that one. So kudos to William & Mary. Let's not take anything away from them. They're, as far as their overall season goes, they're probably looking at like one of the better teams in the league. So likely the Seahawks will see them again in the postseason tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been nice. Trying to look at some, glass half full. Kep Brown, he's emerged as a great hitter. Now he's leading the team in RBIs and home runs. So, a little sunshine in the rain,
Yeah, no doubt about it. Started the season kind of struggling a little bit. Didn't really have that same form. His batting average still not probably where you'd want it to be. But like you said, even in those losses over the last couple of weeks here, or last week so, he's been hitting the ball pretty hard and scoring some runs.
Yeah, I know they've been kind of waiting for that to happen. So And Luke continues to look every bit the Friday guy, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely a guy that's solidified in that role. He's looking all the part. If just his defense would back him up a little bit better, he'd be sitting at probably 4-0 on the season. However, he's sitting at 1-2. I know not too many people throw too much into a pitcher's win-loss record because it's more than just what you do out there, and never more the case as a clear-cut example as this one right here.
Yeah, and they got a couple guys that are approaching that 10 errors on the season. I know as a team, it seems to be something that continues to kind of bite them, huh?
Yeah, it's I guess we're probably close to the midway point of the season here. I mean, you're 29 games in, so you're more than halfway through the season. I know the roster's young. There's a lot of freshmen and sophomores on the roster, but it's about time to start cleaning some of that up. So, heard Coach Scaff's post game on the Sunday after the 2-3 loss, and again, there was a couple of glaring base running errors and a glaring error out in the field, and without those, it's a whole different game. So. Again, kudos to William & Mary for taking advantage of those errors, and the Seahawks did not take advantage of any of the miscues that William & Mary made. So that's the difference in those ball games.
Absolutely. So we jump into a little bit of UNCW softball. I know we can kind of recap their last series against Elon. I know they lost game 1, 2-1. Haley Lenderman ended up taking that loss, I believe, and only gave up 2 hits, but one of them ended up being a home run, so it kind of cost them there. Game 2, they won, actually 6-3. They started off hot in that game, scoring 4 runs in the first inning. Laurel Kuntz, who is 4-0 on the season, filled in for Riley Pate after 1 inning. I don't know, did Riley get hurt, or is that...
I'm not sure what happened in that game there.
But, yeah, she came in and pitched well, and she's already surpassed her career high for strikeouts in a season. She's currently at 19, so she'll probably end up finishing the season shattering that career high. So going forward for her, that looks like a positive overall. And then in game 3, Lenderman ended up taking another loss, her second of the series, obviously. But in that game 2, she ended up pitching good, if not great. Only gave up 1 run, but that 1 run ended up being what decided the game. In her 2 starts over that series, she only gave up a total of 3 runs, but didn't get much back from her offense. So, summarizing that, I mean, overall, how's the team looking from a season standpoint?
Well, we were talking about Luke Giselle, and tough go of it for Haley Lenderman this weekend as well. You only gave up 3 runs in 2 games, and you're on the hook for the loss in both of them. On the flip side, the Seahawks could only muster 1 run in those 2 games. So, doesn't take a math whiz to realize you got to score more than 1 run in 2 games to win at least 2 of them. So tough go of it there. Seahawks sit at 3-3 now in the conference, about midway through the table, as does Elon after that series. Drexel's up this weekend. It's a big series for the Seahawks here in Wilmington. Drexel sitting at 5-1 on the season. Next week, they travel to another powerhouse here, James Madison. That'll be April 13th and 14th at James Madison. And then following that up at Coastal Carolina, another rain makeup here coming up Tuesday, April the 16th.
Yeah, hopefully the bats can come alive in those games because, like we've been saying, I mean, the pitching's been pretty good.
Yeah, especially Haley. She's been... When she's on. She's been lights out.
Yeah, you said it here. I mean, with Drexel and James Madison Drexel coming into town, going to James Madison, the pitching's going to have to be on point. You're going to have to keep up, only giving up those 1.5 runs a game or so, and you're going to have to score, no doubt about it. So teams like that come in, and they want to run rule you. So you can't let that happen, certainly not here in Wilmington, and you got to stick up for yourself there on the road at James Madison.
Absolutely. Avery, you want to jump into a little bit of men's tennis?
Yeah, men's tennis, the last series that they just played, they swept them, and they won 6-1 versus South Carolina State, won 7-0 versus Drexel, and then won 5-2 versus James Madison, and just dominating CAA play.
Yeah, I know they ended up sweeping the awards for the CAA, I believe, also over this past week with Austin Hussey continues to be one of the best men's tennis players in the CAA, if not in the country overall, to be honest with you. Obviously, I don't think he's ranked where you would say he is one of the top players in the nation, but overall, this young man has continued to dominate, especially here at home. But as a team, the men's tennis team, they're starting to kind of find their stride now. They like Avery said, they swept over the week. As a team, they sit at 9-8 overall and 3-0 in CAA play. After they destroyed South Carolina State, Drexel, and James Madison. But Austin Hussey again was named CAA Player of the Week for the third time. The doubles team that's made up of Daniel Groom and Michael Copeland notched doubles team of the week honors. And as two-time defending conference champions took home both honors for the first time this spring. So overall, as a team, they continue to do well. And speaking of those overall rankings, I believe Hussey's ranked number 106 in the latest Oracle ITA NCAA Division I men's tennis rankings. So kudos to him and shout out to those guys for how well they're playing.
Yeah, they're hitting their stride. And like you said, they're two-time defending conference champions. The season's winding down here this weekend. They're at East Tennessee State University. That is not a conference game. But then they come back home on Friday, April the 12th. They host App State. Again, not a conference game. And Saturday, April the 13th, against Virginia Commonwealth, former CAA opponent. And then after that, it's the CAA Conference Championships. That's April 17th through the 20th.
And then, after that, jump into a little beach volleyball. I'm sorry. I know they...
Let's do tennis first here, the women's tennis.
I'm sorry. Yeah, women's tennis as well. I know they just recently finished today, I believe, right?
Yeah, let's see. So on the women's tennis side, since last we talked, they also took on Drexel the same day the men did. They didn't have quite as such an easy a time as the men did. They did eke out a victory though, 4-3 against Drexel. And then just today, we're recording this on Thursday. They were at George Mason, blanked them 4-0. So they're on a bit of a win streak here as well. This weekend they're at Towson, at Hofstra. And then they come back home Friday, April the 12th versus UNC Charlotte. And then the following weekend is the CAA Championships.
Yeah, the Seahawks, they've won their second in a row to improve 7-9 this season. UNCW was playing GMU for the first time since 2012 and pushed its career record against the Patriots to a commanding 21-2.
It's a pretty good record. Maybe they should play George Mason more often.
Yeah, every game.
Yeah, and then jumping into beach volleyball there. I know kind of got beat up on the road and at Georgia State down in Georgia. We kind of give a little summary of that or where they stand as a team now overall. I know their season's actually about to wrap up pretty soon too, if I'm not mistaken, or...
Yeah, I mean, I guess, as we talked about with Gigi, you'll hear that in a second. I mean, there's only so many days left in the semester. So, like you said, last weekend, unfortunately for them, they got swept in 4 matches. They lost 2-3 to Tampa, 2-3 to Georgia State, lost 1-4 to Arizona State, and 2-3 to UAB. 3 matches there that were, where one match was the difference. They're off this weekend, but then their last regular season tournament is down in Columbia, South Carolina. They take on Tulane, College of Charleston, Missouri State, and, of course, the host, South Carolina. So that's the last regular season tournament before the conference tournament, which is not CAA. It's a different Division I conference for women's sand volleyball.
I know they're probably looking to kind of maybe turn some things around in that tournament if possible. I believe this is Maddie Klein. That will be her last tournament as a UNCW Seahawk. So I know she'd like to go out on top there. Jumping into track and field. Men's track and field, they have a event coming up actually in Greenville at ECU tomorrow. Actually, today's Thursday, so the 5th. They have their event this weekend coming up at ECU. The women's track and field, I believe, also have an event coming up here this weekend. They also travel to ECU. Yes, so both men's and women's will be at that event this weekend at ECU. So if you want to take the trip up there, go ahead and support UNCW track and field.
Not many good reasons to take a trip up to Greenville, but to support the Seahawks maybe is one of them.
Definitely.
And then next weekend they go up to Charlotte. I mean, maybe it's a little bit better. It's not Wilmington, but
Yeah, get some miles in North Carolina trip.
Or, you can take the trip. The men's and the women's golf team are down in Clemson this weekend. So, again, I guess by the time you're hearing this, unless you have a DeLorean that goes 88 miles per hour, you are going to miss those events.
But we'll keep you posted and let you know what happens. In other news on campus here, a little bit of men's basketball news. I know Devontae Kaycock is continuing to rake in the awards and the opportunities. I know he's playing in the Reese's All-Star Game. Is that this weekend? I believe that's next weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure. I know this weekend, though, he is playing in the 3-on-3 championship tournament that is in Minnesota, where we talked about that last week, where each conference has 4 senior representatives that go play in this kind of round-robin tournament. And honestly, overall, I don't know why the CAA wouldn't be favored with guys like Kaycock, Justin Wright Foreman, Jarrell Brantley, and I always mess his name up, but Pusica?
I believe it's Vasa Pusica.
Vasa Pusica.
yeah, I'm not even going to try on it.
I could be wrong.
I think you're pretty close. But hey, that team should be favored though. And their first game will be against the Summit League, I believe. But I know Friday night they play. I just had it too. But I know they play the Summit League, they play the Big 12, and they play Conference USA. That's the order. There we go.
So that's their pool. So they'll play that. You said Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, Friday they just have the one game against the Summit League, and then Saturday they have the doubleheader. They play earlier in the afternoon, and then they play in the evening against Conference USA.
And I imagine they probably wrap it up pretty quick. I don't know if they play so the top 16 advance out of the pool play and all the way down to the one champion. I can't imagine you play that many games in a day, so maybe it wraps up on Monday perhaps. Either way, it looks like it's probably going to be done by the time we record again. So we'll have hopefully the detailed results of the CAA's path to victory in the 3-on-3 tournament.
Yeah, and hopefully sooner than later we'll be able to have Devontae on here and tell us all about it himself. But another great thing for the basketball team, Kai Taves, veteran of this year podcast. He's one of the finalists for the Kyle Macy Award, which will be announced here, I believe, tomorrow at the College Insider Awards event that's taking place up by the Final Four in Minneapolis as well. I know that's pretty great honor for him. Obviously we're pulling for him, but with guys like R.J. Barrett and Trey Jones and some of those names on there, I think another CAA name on there is the gentleman that won Conference Rookie of the Year, Cameron Winter. I believe his name was also on that finalist list. But good luck to Kai. Hopefully he does take that award home. I know he, like we've talked about, had a hell of a season, so good luck with that. In women's basketball news, some other awards, and Coach Barefoot is a finalist for an award here, local award. It's actually the 34th Annual Women of Achievement Awards that's presented by the YWCA of the Lower Cape Fear. And she's one of 71 nominees, so that's quite the honor for her. I know she's pretty excited about it. I know a lot of people here and in the surrounding area and fans of Coach Barefoot are really excited about that. I mean, it's kind of I guess the icing on the cake for what a year it was for her and that women's team. So we'll see what happens there.
And you mentioned, I think you just forgot to follow up on this because Devontae's so busy this weekend. He also got elected to play in the College All-Star Game, which is also the same weekend. I don't know how he's going to play all this.
Yeah, the Reese's All-Star Game.
The Reese's All-Star Game, yeah, which I think it might be on TV. I'm not sure. But he's on the Eastern squad with, again, some of those CAA people like Vasa Pusica and Jarrell Brantley as well. Coached by Nate Robinson, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone can get a shot of Nate Robinson next to Devontae Kaycock. That'd be a fun one. But yeah, that's scheduled to happen, I believe, this Friday. So I guess that's going to be before he takes on the Summit League with the CAA. I guess that kicks off the Final Four weekend. So busy weekend for him. I mean, maybe when he's done with that, he's going to have to come back to town and just kind of sleep for a few days because I don't know how he's going to get in any rest this weekend.
Well, and I know he's got plenty on his plate going forward, too. He's going to have plenty of combines, plenty of tryouts and workouts, and so this is probably going to get him ready for all that. But yeah, I know he is not the type to kind of take days off or to take a game off, so I know he's going to be playing when he does get on the court. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this weekend goes for him.
Yeah, that's crazy. So they're going to have the All-Star game. They're going to have the Summit 3-on-3. They got 2 on Saturday. And then it says all the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals are going to be on Sunday. So you might have 3 games there as well.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's crazy.
Or it might be 4 games, I guess.
You might end up playing in 6 or 7 games then, potentially, huh? If you played the 3
could be
round
8.
robins. Yeah, 8.
Yeah, because it'd be
the All-Star games. Wow.
Yeah, he might be a little bit tired.
You might foul out intentionally.
Right? Holy shit, that's a lot. That's a lot for anybody. I didn't realize that until now. Holy shit. Then, yeah, a little bit more of women's basketball news.
Just want to give a congrats to our future Seahawk, Sunshine McRae, for earning Player of the Year honors. She's going to be here next year, if I'm correct. So, just excited for her.
Yeah, that's a great honor. Now, was that, I'm not 100% sure, is that Player of the Year in North Carolina, High School Player of the Year? Or where is she from exactly? I'm not 100% sure, but that is a great honor. Oh, okay, in Pennsylvania. Okay, so she was given that award. That's great, good for her. I know they're pretty high on her coming in too, so that'll be good going forward. See what happens when she gets here on campus. So, yeah, that'll kind of about wrap things up.
Yeah, it's good to think about the future of the women's program. With that kind of caliber of freshmen coming in, and then stay tuned for our conversation here with Gigi. She's going to be a rising senior, and you're going to hear about some of the things she's got to say about, kind of the chip on their shoulder. They still have, unfinished business. They still have with this team kind of on the rise with Coach Karen Barefoot.
Yeah, she was upset by the disrespect that UNCW's women's basketball team got during the preseason, how, people looked at them, and yeah, they proved them wrong, I'd say.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. It'll be interesting to see that team as well. I know both men's and women's basketball going into next year. It's kind of a little more of a proving situation for the men's, but for the women's, I know they want to just kind of continue what they've built here with Coach Barefoot, so it'll be great to see how that happens. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Like Mike said, stay tuned. Check out that Gigi Smith interview. A lot of great insight, a lot of great information. She was great. Check it out. We appreciate you listening again. This was episode 3 of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. Thank you. But yeah, thank you. First though, let's just say thank you for coming on. We appreciate you doing this. You're number 3, so
Thank you.
You're one of the first, so hopefully everything continues to go well for us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
But all right, we'll do the little intro, Mike. All right, welcome. This is episode 3 of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. I'm Easy.
Beard number 1.
Beard number 2 is behind the board again. I'll give him his shout out. Thank you for joining us. Today we have Gigi Smith, aka Gigi, as she goes by. She is a red shirt junior going into her red shirt senior season.
Say that 5 times fast.
I know, right? Yeah. We thank you for coming out, Gigi. We're happy to have you and look forward to talking with you and doing this interview. Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
All right, so if we want to kind of just maybe kick things off with maybe just how the year ended, maybe a little self-assessment of your game and maybe some things you feel like you did well and maybe some things you want to improve on going forward.
Yeah, the ending of the year, it was definitely a heartbreaker. didn't want to see us go down there and lose, the first round. But things happen, everything happens for a reason. My teammate Timber always tells me that. So I think over the year, I'm definitely will give myself credit. I'm proud of where I was this year. I watch film from when I first played in my college almost every single night, almost every game that I've played in college. And I compared it to this year. I just finished watching film from last year, from my previous year at ODU and my year here. And I see such a big difference in who I am as a player, who I am as a person. And it's a crazy feeling. It kind of makes you sentimental because, life just goes by you real fast. And it seems like with me doing this, a whole new year just happens. But I definitely think I can improve on a lot of things, just being stronger mentally and tougher for my coaches and my teammates as well. So that's most of what my off season will contend to.
All right, awesome. Well, let's talk about it a little bit more. I mean, this was one of the best seasons in women's basketball, really history, and certainly in recent history. 18 wins overall, that was the most in the last 7 years. 13-1 at home, that's best ever for UNCW ever. 11-7 in the CAA, that was the best in the last 8 years as well. So, Coach Barefoot, we'll talk a little bit more about your history with her, but she's come over here and in her second year has really got this program going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's one thing about her. She knows what it takes to win, and she sees it in us, and she believes it in us, will it in us, in every practice that we have. This season, I definitely say was really beautiful. I know coming into the season, we were picked 7th for conference, I believe, and we all kind of laughed when we saw it because we knew what we were capable of. And I mean, surely enough, when we started the season, I mean, a lot of people were shocked, and we kind of walked in like this isn't nothing new, but of course, to everyone else it is. I think the biggest thing that made our season so powerful was all of the adversity we faced as a team. I think it made us stronger because, we went through a lot of things and we just found ways to piece those holes back together and to stay as a team. So that was really important for us this year.
What specifically are you talking about? Stuff like, say, the hurricane that came through kind of
definitely
jacked up, not just your practice schedule, but everyone's life here in Wilmington?
Yeah, that was really devastating. That was actually my first time ever being part of something like that, of a natural disaster. I've never experienced that because, Norfolk, Virginia, we're always told something's going to happen and it never does. But here, it actually happened, and it was definitely devastating to know that we lost 37 people in the community. I know I don't know them, but, it definitely rubbed our team the wrong way. And I know we did everything we can volunteering this year, trying to help out around the city and just make everyone feel better. And we definitely picked it up. We missed preseason, so we had to go practice at Chapel Hill, and our main thing was fighting for those who lost, but they can't get back. And that was where we started at for our first week of practice.
And you talk about Wilmington kind of being your home here. I mean, that home record, I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. I mean, really anywhere, professional or otherwise. 13-1 at home. Again, you finished 3rd overall, but you're the only team to beat James Madison in the regular season at home. The crowds kind of built as the year went along, and I know it's not the same as maybe what you see at homecoming on the men's side, but towards those last couple weeks at those home games, the atmosphere was there, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. Playing at home is a wonderful feeling. I think the best thing about it is we get so excited to play at home because we know that it may not be a lot of fans like the men's team, but we know those fans that we count on, they're always there. And I mean, it's a wonderful feeling playing for them. And then they come out there and they get so excited to see us win. And I can't tell you the amazing feeling, especially when we played James Madison and Townsend in one weekend and we got both the wins. I mean, that was probably the most historical weekend for us at home. Just the feeling that we had and my teammates being ready to take whatever they had coming to them in the game and just doing what they had to do. And it showed that weekend. It showed every weekend we play at home. So it's a beautiful feeling.
I think Elon, the week right before that, the defending champs, you took care of them.
Yeah, we played them away. That was actually our first, well, not our first away game, but our first conference away game. And I was really proud with how we came out because, Elon was the defending champions of two years in a row, is that? So it was crazy. We came back from a 16-point deficit. I mean, a lot of people probably counted us out once that score said 40-24. And we just kind of looked at it as like, you know, this is what everyone expected. We do good non-conference, come in conference, we just die down. And we said we're not going like that. So we picked it up and turned it around.
Seems like having that chip on your shoulder is kind of the common theme throughout all that. Now, you probably don't want to make that a regular occurrence going down by double digits.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably going to be a little bit more favored coming into next season. You know, how are you going to still be able to kind of maintain that same attitude?
So for me, I don't like to lose. So I will always have that mentality of, you know, they look at us as in like we're not good enough. I mean, I personally have a chip on my shoulder now because anyone in this whole entire world knows that we should have been invited for a postseason, and we didn't get that. And I think we were cheated out of that for sure. I mean, I've been cheated out of postseasons for almost 3 years in my college career now. So I think for me, you know, it's just that I'm trying to do whatever I can, trying to get better now that we're off and we're just trying to get back to that next preseason because we're off season is not the fun thing to do. But I think the biggest thing for me is just realizing that feeling we had when we lost, getting there and then having such a great year and then it's just gone like that. I don't ever want to feel that feeling again. So this is my last year. I want to do it right.
Do you follow the sport? I mean, the Final Four is about to come up here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still kind of keep an eye on that stuff now that you're not playing right now?
Yeah, I keep on it because I like to study other people and study how they play and study what they do, what makes them better. I know a lot of people think, you know, basketball involves like being so talented in some type of way, but I've always been fundamental, so I just like to look at the fundamental part of the game, and I feel like that kind of puts you a way higher than most people.
That's awesome. That's great. I know you mentioned Norfolk. That's where you're from. Kind of take us back to a young Gigi and kind of that first time you picked up a basketball and really thought this might be something for you.
Okay, so I've been playing since I was 3. I'm 21 now. I remember just, you know, my mom throwing it at me. She's always thrown a lot of things at me. I was that one girl that probably did everything and don't know why. I was really girly, so I actually started off with pageants and, like, you know, modeling and stuff like that. And then, you know, I started playing basketball. My mom kind of kept up with it because she seen I enjoyed it. So I was the only girl on an all-boys basketball team for about 3-4 years. That's where I kind of started playing with guys. And I started playing with girls, so I was about 6 or 7. I always played with guys. I think that was more fun. You know, it kind of probably brought my physical side out. You know, very, very bully-like, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's kind of where I started.
Awesome. So you started your high school career at Maury and then went to Lake Taylor.
Yes.
So I know we talked before, right when you got to Lake Taylor, they had won a state title that year before.
Yep.
Tell me about playing for 2 different high schools, because I know Lake Taylor now, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah, they
I mean,
are.
they have one of the best high school women's basketball coaches, arguably, in the country. And Sandra Sawyer?
Yep,
if I'm
that's
saying
her.
that right?
That's my woman.
And tell us what that experience was playing for her, and then that transition from one high school to another, and then kind of how that led you eventually to ODU.
So playing for Sandra is an amazing feeling. She was actually my coach for AAU as well. There was the way the organization was set up. You know, we had a head coach. She was a part of the assisting. She was always handling the defense. That was more of her focus on the team. But she's a powerful woman. I mean, being under her wings was just learning a lot about the game, but not even just about the game, about life. And that's kind of where it started for me, just learning about life. And she kind of carried that on for me because transitioning from Maury wasn't really easy. I grew up basically in Norfolk, Virginia, and I lived close relatively to my first high school, and then I moved up the street and I became Lake Taylor District, but I still went to Maury for 1 more year before I transferred. And I think the biggest thing that I learned was just that at that moment was you have to make decisions for yourself. And I can honestly say that was probably the first decision I made for myself as a player, as a person, as a student.
That was going to Lake Taylor?
Yes, going to Lake Taylor.
Now, was that something your family was behind you with too? Because did that offer you kind of more exposure basketball-wise going to Lake Taylor? Or was it something that you really wanted to do yourself?
I really wanted to do that one myself. My first 2 years at Maury, I will always remember because they were definitely special to me. My head coach at Maury was Jermaine Woods, and he got the job at Virginia Tech, and then he ended up coaching me my sophomore year in college. It started with him. He's like really important to me and an important person in my life. But when he left, I kind of just stayed for my team. I didn't really stay for myself. And I think I should have made a decision for myself at that moment. But once my junior year ended, that's kind of when I made my first decision. And I was like, okay, I want to do something for me. So I decided to transfer.
Okay, so then getting into Coach Barefoot. I believe we read she offered you a scholarship in 8th grade.
Yes, she
So
did.
That relationship and that connection has been there for quite some time. Tell us a little bit about how that started, and then obviously you ended up going to ODU with her in the beginning. Kind of tell us and walk us through kind of that relationship and what that means to you.
So growing up, I grew up with a lot of females that were really good at basketball. I mean, it seemed like they already had the game handed to them, and I wasn't really that good. I had to train every single day, and it definitely wasn't for my mom, pushing me to go work out every day. I wouldn't be as good as I am today. So I want to say maybe 5th grade, 6th grade is when I really started making noise around my city. And that's when, she saw me in 8th grade. But before 8th grade, she saw me play. But 8th grade is kind of where we built a little bit more. And she used to come watch my AAU games when she was allowed to. And I can remember the day, her offering me, I got so much backlash from that. Being a 13-year-old girl getting a D1 offer, they're kind of like, what is she going to do? A lot of backlash. But it kind of started there. She kind of, her offering me is kind of what made everyone else start throwing it in and start offering me as well. So
More commonplace nowadays, though. You're seeing those offers come out earlier and earlier for sport.
I think there's a young girl who has amazing handles, and she does these basketball videos on Instagram. She has an offer from Duke already, from UNC. I mean, it's unbelievable. So
Yeah, it's become commonplace now, kind of. And speaking of those other offers, you had offers from NC State, ECU, JMU.
Yes.
So was that a consideration?
No. They never made the cut.
Okay. I believe VCU too, and then
Yes.
I know Kentucky and a couple other schools were looking at you, but no official offers from them.
I actually had one from Kentucky. I had one from Richmond, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech. I had a lot of good schools. It's just, for me, I never cared about how big the name was. And I know growing up, that kind of meant something to everyone in my city. That just wasn't for me. I feel like, I'm not saying I wouldn't play there, but I know for me it mattered about, did I fit in? Was the environment good for me? Was it a family? Like, could I leave home and know that this is going to be a second home to me? That was more important to me. And definitely the biggest one was loyalty. And Coach Barefoot gave me that from day one when she offered me.
Absolutely. So it was probably that connection with her that you kind of forged at a young age that led you to ODU?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say, I wouldn't say if it wasn't for the offer, but just for her always staying after me. If she wasn't after me as much as she was, I probably wouldn't be under her wing as much now. But it was definitely that. I felt like her just always being persistent. She was always catching my games when they were allowed to watch players play. She would always call when she can. I would be at their practices. I would go to their home games. I mean, she always made it important every time I was around. And I love that because that's what family does. Family makes you feel important anytime you're around, anytime you see them, anytime you check up on them, and that's what she does. And that kind of stuck with me. It was a lot of great coaches that came my way that I've talked to. I just didn't feel that same vibe as much as hers. So that definitely was my decision.
That's great. Yeah.
She had just gotten there about the time she offered you, right? But she was from that area as well, so it's not like she was foreign to that neck of the woods. Right?
Yeah, she was. She's from Newport News. Right. Went to Minchville. That's definitely they changed the program around at that time. But I think the biggest thing for her was, a lot of people don't believe in staying home. And I think it was so important to see someone stay home, come back home, and try to help. And for me, I thought what better way than to represent my city, my state, and stay home and try to do something big. And that was really important to me as well.
And so you got the last couple of years of her tenure there.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit. did your family, your friends, did they show up in masses there to ODU and watch you play as well?
Yeah, it's crazy. The attendance at Old Dominion wasn't that great either. But my freshman year was a pretty good year.
Is that the new arena?
Yes, at TED Center. Yeah, it was a pretty good year because they weren't doing really well winning prior to me getting there, and everyone knows ODU women's basketball was known way more than men's basketball. They won the CAA for like 17 years consecutively. So it's definitely a new conference, a new movement, new teams that you're playing. But my freshman year, that was the first year I went to a conference championship. And we lost, but I got there. So I feel like just being a part of that transitioning for her was amazing. And I watched her coach at ODU for about 3-4 years before I went, and watched the players that she's had. One of my friends from Old Dominion, I've watched her get drafted. I've went to a couple of her games. It's a great feeling.
That's great. That's a good story. So then, too, kind of, I guess we can transition into then Coach Barefoot coming here then.
Yeah.
So now, obviously you don't have to tell us what that phone call was like, but kind of walk us through what that conversation was like, and kind of maybe if the writing was kind of on the wall that she was kind of on her way down here, or if it was something that you really had to take a step back and think about if this transition down here was the right thing for you, and kind of walk us through what that was like. So
I can remember this day like yesterday, living on campus, just had a year loss. Okay. I can remember it was a lot of craziness going on that year. And just like a lot of talks, I had to learn that college is always going to be a business. It is about winning. I understand that. So, we all kind of knew the perks of that part, winning, extend your contract. Now, she had an extension at that time when my sophomore year before she was leaving, but it was just a lot going on. And I remember her calling and just say, hey, checking up on me. And she's just like, the word is out, everyone's talking about, possibilities and things like that. And she's like, there's a possible chance I can get a job somewhere. Would you come with me? And I'm like, of course, Coach, I wouldn't doubt it, but and she knows this too. I was like, let me look at all my options first. Because before she was getting the job, I was ready to transfer. And it wasn't because of her. It was just I didn't like the players I played with. I needed a new mentality. I needed players that, actually want to, win and actually care for the program and what they do. And so I had already had my release, and I was looking at different schools, and, she called and we talked about it, and I was like, you're definitely going to be at the top of my list, but let me make sure that, there's other schools out there. If I fit there better than I think I would here, I need to explore that option. So I explored a couple options, and then I narrowed it down to 2. It was here in Norfolk State, which was a MEAC school back at home. And then I came down here and did my visit, and I can remember, like yesterday, they wrote UNCW women's basketball G number 10 on the beach, and I ended up committing that day. So it was really beautiful.
How much did you know about Wilmington before that?
Nothing. Honestly, I'd known nothing about Wilmington. The only thing that I remember, we scrimmaged UNC Wilmington women's team my freshman year here at their gym. I think they were just getting into Trask a little bit more, and we had scrimmaged them. And I remember it because it was my big game as a freshman. I had a really good game that day, and I can remember their gym because I fell so hard. And I was like, "What? Did they not wipe the floors or something?" I was so mad, but I knew nothing about Wilmington. I could only remember the gym, and then when I came here for my visit, I was like, "Man, all this stuff is here. Was I not paying attention the first time?" So it was definitely a good feeling.
It's different for everybody, but it seems like in this case, obviously knowing Karen, was probably the biggest part of you coming to Wilmington. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah. I wouldn't even consider anything else. Definitely her coming here. She's a great coach to be under and to be a part of. She always wants to see the better in you, and she knows what it takes to get you there. And she's so supportive, and I can't ask for a better coach.
And so then talk about, obviously with the transfer then, you have to sit out a year to redshirt. You redshirted last season. What's that like, still being a part of the team, but not really being a part of the team because you can't play?
I had a lot of free time. And I didn't like it because it was something I wasn't used to. I'm used to packing my bag and saying, all right, away trip, I got to go handle business. I'm used to that. I'm used to playing at home. So it was definitely a different feeling me. And then, it's hard sitting on a bench and cheering my girls on. I'm like, dang, I can't suit up. I can't get out there and play. It was such a tough feeling. It just made me go harder. And every day I just be like, all right, can this day be over? I'm getting one day closer. I'm getting one day closer. And it definitely went by really, really slow. And I'm kind of jealous because my 2 teammates are red shirts now. And I feel like this year went by so fast for them. It just felt like it just went right past them. And for me, it felt like jail every single day. But I took practice so serious. I mean, I can never think of the time that I've never been so serious. I've been serious before in practice and everything that I do, but I took practice serious every day. All my teammates can tell you they hated me because that was my only time to make it seem like, all right, the lights is on, I got to play. So it was definitely hard, but it taught me a lot about myself too. It taught me a lot about, I'm a junior, I still got another 2 years, but life is kind of coming at me fast. So do I want to play? Do I want to try to go pro? Do I want to go overseas? Do I want to go straight into a career? I have so many options, and now I'm just kind of learning it to enjoy my time in the moment so I won't miss it.
You said you kind of grew up, when you went to high school, you kind of grew up with the Old Dominion program, with that kind of continuity. Mm-hmm. Obviously here in Wilmington, it's kind of people are coming in all over the place. You're not the only person transferring here. Mm-mm. Was redshirting probably a pro for you in that, kind of just to get to know everybody, or is it better just to get out on the court and just kind of learn trial by fire?
I think it was a pro. Definitely a pro because it's different trying to transfer in and, you play the way you play, but you're playing with a whole new team and a whole new set of players. You don't know how, that they might like something, how they might want to move the ball, things like that. So I think it was definitely a pro for me just because I got to learn my teammates. I got to spend time watching them in practice, help them out. They helped me out with what I need help on. So it was a really good feeling because they accepted me with open arms, and it was a really good feeling to just be a part of them and to learn something new, definitely a new environment. This was the first team that I was ever on where we had a lot of different diversity. At my last team, it was like, everyone basically knew each other, or everyone understood each other because they were from around that area.
You definitely parlayed it into a great season. I think you led the team in minutes, so close to leading the team in scoring, pretty close there in the rebound category as well. So as far as the kind of do it all, I mean, you're the go-to there. You mentioned some of the free time you had your redshirt year. I mean, so this is now your 4th complete year of college, and I mean, you mentioned to us earlier, I mean, you're going to walk and get a degree here. Yeah. You've got 1 more year of basketball, and you said you've got some unfinished business. Mm-hmm. Talk about on the academic side as far as, I mean, you said you're probably going towards a master's degree. Right?
Yes. So they've been asking me, what do I plan on doing, having a grad year? I know that there's grad programs and everything for communication. Originally, I want to be a lawyer, still want to be a lawyer. I'm probably going to go for that. But I think the biggest thing for me now is, graduating in May with my bachelor's degree, communication. And they've talked about doing IMC. I really kind of want to focus on broadcasting. If I decide to do communication, I feel like I'm really good at talking with people and things of that sort. If not, I like to help people. I'm more of a hands-on. So either way, kind of works for me. First, got to get past this communication. So.
What do you got, 1 more months?
Yeah.
6 weeks, something?
Right? Like 20-something days. Yeah. I've been keeping count. Right.
And so rumor was that you kind of fought through an injury this season, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. Was it something serious, more serious than what was kind of led on? Because I didn't have any clue about it. I don't think too many people really knew. But, it kind of came up after the season. Tell us what that was like, kind of fighting through that, and how serious it really was.
So it was before we started our games. It was probably maybe about 3 weeks before, and I hurt my leg. And it just felt so weird. I remember the night before I came into the training room, it was like hard moving my knee and everything. And so the next day came in and I'm like crying as he's doing knee procedure. And he's like, that shouldn't happen. So, we get an emergency MRI. So when we got them, the first results that came back was, he felt that my ACL was too loose. He felt that my meniscus wasn't, adjusting right. And I'm like, okay, I'm thinking the absolute worst, because I done already set out a year. I'm like, man, I don't want to have that feeling again. So, a couple of weeks go by, I find out I have a cartilage defect in my left knee. And it's just basically I don't have any cartilage under my bone where it meets the top of my tibia down here. And, it kind of rubs a lot when I'm moving and doing things of that sort. There was talks of surgery, but, I kind of told the doc, I was like, look, I'm going to have to play through it this year. It's too close to look into something like that because, typically he said I would be out 4 to 6 weeks if we did the surgery, but the way my knee felt, it was more of a 6-month thing. Mm-hmm. So decided to just kind of suck it up and muster through, and that's kind of what I did. I was on restricted minutes for about, I think, maybe just the Catawba game, and then I came out Belmont Abbey. That's probably that was the most highest points I had in the game this year, and I think what led me to just play like that, I was like, man, I just was a bad feeling knowing that I might not have been out there. Yeah. But I'm currently still dealing with the knee injury, so definitely before it gets out to anybody, I might have the surgery. So I don't want everyone to be like, oh, what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, I possibly might have the surgery, so keep you guys tuned if I do.
Okay, yeah, we appreciate that. Thanks.
We break news here.
Yeah.
Yeah, break them.
Well, yeah, the last 2 weeks now we sure have.
Oh, yeah, I know you guys are breaking news for sure.
Well, yeah,
on that other side.
Yeah, well, we had Gene in here last week, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, gotta check that out. But
yeah, I need to hear that.
If the surgery does happen, is that something that you'll probably be doing sooner than later to kind of get that out of the way and start rehabbing? So
I have a doctor's appointment Monday. Most likely, if it doesn't go, well, I'm sure it's going to go the way I need it to go. My surgery will probably be as early as next week. And I'll probably be just returning back to the court like the first week of October.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in time.
Just in time.
Yeah, and kind of going into that, too, you're going to have a big role next season. You got some people leaving, some minutes that'll be opening up, and some ball-dominant minutes opening up. So, is that something that you've kind of been preparing yourself for, or something that you were just born ready to do?
I'm going to say a little bit of both. Growing up in high school, I was always the go-to player. Every person on the team was probably their go-to player in high school. But for me, in college...
I wasn't.
That's what I was just thinking. Wait, who?
No.
No? Okay.
In college, most people, they go to college their freshman year, and what they're used to doesn't happen anymore. Luckily for me, it wasn't like that, so thankful to God for that blessing. But it's a really good feeling knowing that, people can count on you. Sometimes it might be a little sad because you might be out of it and everyone's like, where you at? But I've just learned now that it's not about me. It's about the person next to me. My coach always says that. So that's just where I put my focus to. If I'm having a bad day, if things aren't going right, I'm just like, man, let me think about the sister next to me because it could probably be worse for her. And so I'm ready to do whatever it needs for my team to win, for my coach to get her success, anything that's needed. I'm ready for all of that this year.
That's a great mindset.
We're looking forward to it. Like you said, with the amount of unfinished business you have.
Oh, so unfinished.
Regular season, CAA postseason, and then national postseason.
Yeah.
And, right there on the cusp and what could be next year. Yeah,
I'm definitely going to keep it honest with you guys. I was not impressed with my accolade of second team. I wasn't impressed with Lacey's either. I felt, if anything, Sharita should have been on first team. I definitely felt that for sure. I definitely felt Lacey should have been on first team as well. I know that the first team consisted of people with points, but man, I think it was a lot more. Sharita and Lacey done a lot for this team, and to me, I felt like they deserved first for sure.
And Coach Barefoot too. Talking about the preseason predictions. Predicted seventh to finish all the way up at third. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are saying she kind of got slighted for I think it was the Towson coach.
Oh, what?
Coach of the year.
She got slighted for that. A lot. She really, really did. I mean, to see someone change a program when everyone considered us like low of the low. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised they even gave us 7th. I'm sure they should have just gave us 10th if that's how they felt. But to see someone change it like that, and that she had last year, she didn't really have that much time. She transferred in like that summer. That's a lot to do for some players that don't know you don't know them. That's a lot. But for her, I mean, she was so dedicated just being on us all summer and all preseason and just working on us being together. I mean, I can't say a lot of teams do bonding, but I mean, we've done a lot of bonding activities. We've done a lot to pull our team closer. And this team right now, I mean, it's so beautiful if y'all can see us every day, how close we are, how good we laugh. It's an amazing feeling, and I'm just thankful that we have a coach like her. She definitely should have got that one.
I stand corrected. I guess the chip is still there for next year.
So there.
That's good.
Probably a good thing. Yeah.
So there.
That's good to hear. Kind of on a different note, then, is it frustrating or motivating for you, just kind of the lack of exposure women's basketball gets?
Man, that's a good question. I've been in between on that one lately. I know a lot of men, well, the men that I see on social media, it's a lot of, well, if you guys could dunk, everyone will watch. If I've seen comments where if you guys wore booty shorts like back in the day, we'll definitely watch. It's crazy the things that they'll say, but it kind of it's such it's like a slap in the face, really. That we can't be seen to play this sport and not get as much love as for guys, and and it's not even about the money that they make anymore, because for us, I wish they understood how hard it is to get in their position. I mean, 36 girls only get drafted, and 12 of those are the only ones guaranteed with a contract. Those other 24, they fighting to just stay on the roster. And I've seen some of my sisters from back home get drafted, and I've seen one of them get all the way through the training camp, but that last day, she didn't make it. And if she would have made that day, she would have got her spot on the roster. And I think it's just so tough, because a lot of girls grow up and they say they want to be in the WNBA. That was my dream. And now I kind of got to relax on it, because, like it is, a lot of the exposure isn't in the WNBA anymore. It's overseas now. Mm-hmm. So I think what's so hard is just getting people to realize that we love the sport just as much as men. And it's not about being sexist or, showing a little bit of skin for you guys to watch. I mean, it's a great game to watch females play. I know it's a lot of jump balls maybe for people. I know it's the accurate way to play defense, how to get the ball up the court, but it wins. We win. We play just as much as them. We play hard. And one thing for sure, guys can't take a hit like we do. Okay, they take one hit and they crying. I see it every time. I seen it on our men's team this year, okay? I seen it. They take one hit, they down. We don't do that. We take one hit, we like, all right, man, it's easy.
And anyone you want to call out on the men's team?
You know what? Let me call out all of them. Let me start with Gene, okay? He's the biggest crybaby I've known. He get hit one time. It's just, man.
We're going to have to tag him in this.
Yeah, you're going to have to tag him in that one. Tag him, let him know I said it. I'm going to start with him. I'm going to start with Devontae, too. I'm going to get on him, too. Devontae tough. He got his little toughness, but I done seen him have a little couple moments. Still, it's okay, though.
He might have a response for you, because hopefully he'll be on here in a couple weeks.
Okay, let him know I was here. Let him know I said it, for real.
He might have a response.
My bad, D. It's all love.
Do you think, though, that is part of what makes, most women basketball players play so much harder, because at the end, there's just not as much of a reward when it comes to the dollar amount or the exposure or whatever, to where a lot of you are probably playing for pure love of the game, because, like you said, professionally, there's not as many opportunities, but then, too, they're not as lucrative as the opportunities for men.
Right.
So you think it's kind of, it is a double-edged sword, but at the same time, I think a lot of women, it is pure love of the game.
Yeah, definitely pure love. I can't say There's one female out here like, I'm trying to play to make this money, because first of all, there's no money for us to make. Our regular job from getting a degree is where our money gonna come from versus where the money's gonna come from the league. We only have one league for WNBA, and that's just like 14 teams. The men's team, they have like a lot of teams. They have so many states that provide NBA teams for them, and then you look at us. We're sitting at 14, maybe 12. I can't even remember the number. But it's just, you grow up, it excites us when we play. For guys, it's like if you got good athletic, or if you're tall, if you whatever it is, people say, oh, man, you got a chance to go get there in 1 year. You know what I mean? Like, for us, it's like, oh, yeah, you got it. You can go play overseas. Like, none of us want to hear that first. We want to hear the WNBA, because that's our dream growing up. None of us grew up and say, oh, yeah, I want to play overseas. We didn't even know about overseas until we got to high school. So
Who the hell wants to go to Croatia?
Right. And I'm a little bit scared of being overseas, but, if that's the way I continue to play my basketball, I'll do it. I mean, we don't even have semi-pro teams. We don't even have a D league, if that's the answer. I mean, they have so many opportunities for men. I mean, bench players are making $500,000 to be a bench player. I will be a bench player, okay?
That kind of money, yeah, absolutely.
I will cut my hair. I will do whatever to look like a dude, and I will be a bench player for $500,000 all the time.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. I think we all might sign up for that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be the manager. I know they get good money.
Yeah, they do. Hey, so speaking of one of your teammates too, Shrita, now do you guys go back to your time in Virginia? I know she's from Virginia too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you guys play AAU ball together or play
Against each other.
You did? What was that experience like? And then talk about, now that you guys are teammates, what that's been like.
It's funny because growing up, basketball was legit in our state. Let me say that. We talk about the 7 cities because there's Chesapeake, there's Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Hampton, the 7 cities of that sort. And AAU took place in Hampton, Virginia at Bowen Sportplex. There were so many different teams. I played for Norfolk Express, one of the top teams in Norfolk. She played for Miami Hurricanes, something like that. They were from Virginia Beach. Absolutely hated each other. I wouldn't say I hated her. I just hated playing their team. Mm-hmm. Like, she was absolutely, this player that you've seen, this was this girl at like 6, 7 years old just hooping. Yeah. She can hoop, but she was like street hoop. You don't meet most players that are street hoop and then like you bring them out, like she could kill everyone. Like, she'll just make it down the court and you're like, dang, we just scored. What happened? Like, why is she already making the layup? Like, that's how embarrassing it was. Like, she used to do amazing things on the court and everyone's like, man, like, even though we'll blow her team out, it was just like, okay, nobody wants to play her because she's going to make us look bad. Like, but then as we got older, she started playing on different teams and her team started getting really good. It was always a battle. I mean, like, there was one of my friends now, we're really close. She played on that team. Her name was Gabby. When I say them two played together, it was destroyable. I mean, they were like the best backcourt on an AAU team because they were so fast, they were skilled, they can shoot. I mean, they could sit you down, pick you up, everything that you can think of. It was so crazy. And then just seeing her and joining here at this school and us playing together, I mean, it looked natural. It felt natural, so it was really fun to have her here.
Awesome, yeah. That sounds great. So I know we kind of touched on this a little bit before, but I kind of want to get your take on this too. So we had talked about the Candace Wiggins article. And if anybody's not familiar with that, it was an article that came out a few years ago, end of 2017, early 2018. And Candace Wiggins was a young woman that played in the WNBA for about 10 years, I believe. She was in the league for quite some time. And she ended up coming out with her story, really, and talking about how she felt like she was kind of bullied because she was one of the only heterosexual females on her basketball team.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of stigmas, stereotypes with women's basketball, whether it's college or pro, that, a lot of people might say most women that play basketball in that aspect are, homosexual or and that's, like I said, it's a stereotype. That's not my personal opinion. I doubt that's anybody's personal opinion in this room. In fact, I know it's not. So my question to you would be, is that something that you kind of have experienced yourself in a way, or something that you can kind of relate to because it's something you've seen in your growing up playing basketball now that you're at the Division I level as well?
So, growing up in AAU, I was one of the only girls that was heterosexual on my AAU team. And, it was kind of different because you could tell I was kind of like outcasted, we were friends, but not like, everyone's going to come be around me just because I don't relate to what they're normally doing or, dating girls and everything of that sort. But also growing up, though, I've never, defined myself as a heterosexual. I'm just a people person. If I vibe with how you are as a person, then I'll like you. Or if you like me and you vibe how I am, then you'll like me, whatever the case is. But it definitely sucks, and I know that's another reason why a lot of guys say, why watch girls when they can watch their friends play? Because, they feel a lot of girls are basically turning into guys and things of that sort. It kind of sucks that they feel that way because, girls are girls. It's just, if that's what they are, then that's what they are. I don't feel like that should change you from supporting, what they do because they love basketball just as much as you do, just as much as everyone else does. So I definitely think that plays a role, that stereotype. A lot of people just say, well, why watch? It's like a bunch of guys out there. And I've heard that a lot growing up. A lot of people say that exact saying. So I just think, people got to grow up and change. It's not, really that big of a deal. I mean, if it's not fitting for you, then just don't comment about it. Don't watch it. Don't let the world know. But putting it out there, it gets everyone else started on it. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's a pretty good philosophy. Like, if you don't have anything positive to contribute, just go do something else.
Yeah,
exactly. Everyone should learn that growing up. Your mother always tell you, if it ain't nice, don't say it. And that's just kind of how I handle things. If it ain't positive, then I just won't feed into it because, having that negative energy around me helps me do nothing at all. So
I think it's one of the great things about Wilmington, though, certainly in my experience, it's just the whole town is just a chill spot, and no one's really trying to ruffle anyone else's feathers.
Yeah.
There's something cool or something positive going on, people tend to flock to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not used to that. So it is definitely a good feeling. I mean, growing up, I know a lot of people have a stereotype, mostly on men's, though. It's not really on women's side. You don't really hear about women, being around, the hood and everything of that sort. You only hear about the men. But for me, that's my high school was built in the hood. That's where it was, both of them. And, you went to a school where it was a lot of people from different neighborhoods, different, parks that they claim, whatever you want to call it. But it's not normal being in a city. For me, it wasn't normal being in a city where everyone was positive about your success and how great you're doing and things of that sort. Wilmington is so different. You don't really have a lot of issues like that. And for me, it's a really good feeling because I know a lot of people back at home, they tend to feed into a lot of that, and it causes a lot of scuffles, a lot of outbreaks, and it's just not a good ending. So it's really good.
Now that you're here, what's what are some of the things you do in town? Now that you're a Wilmington resident, any good spots to eat or stuff you do in your spare time?
Yeah, so I love to eat. I know a lot of people think athletes are in shape. We are, but I love to eat. So if y'all ever, please, if y'all ever go out to eat, take me with you. My favorite thing to do, I like to go to the movies. I love watching movies. I like going to Barnes and Nobles and finding new books to read. I love to read. I'm a bookworm. And I am not that fond of the beach. I know that everyone else is, but I'm not. Only if it's like a lot of people there and they're having a good time, then I'll go because I know my friends will go or my teammates or something. But on my own time, I will never go to the beach. I don't like the dirt. I don't like picking up the sand.
Indoors in the air conditioning.
Yeah, I don't like the sand. We used to do beach workouts and it was the most hateful day I had out the week because my car would be so dirty. And I don't like paying money to go get it cleaned, and I don't like doing it myself because it doesn't work. So the beach me and the beach don't get along. I actually like to drive, just to drive. It's a good feeling, you think, listen to music, feel good and things like that. I don't really talk about what I like to do because people don't like to do what I do. Everyone like to go get drunk and stuff. That's every once in a while, but they don't need to know that.
That's great. So in all your years playing basketball, I know you kind of talked about Shrita and some of the things you watched her do, but kind of in all your years growing up from, when you were super young to now playing D1, has there ever been a player that you kind of sit back or kind of sit down when you're on the bench or come out of a game and you kind of just watch in amazement, like, wow, that girl can play, or that girl is great?
I am not gonna lie, and this is not like cocky or anything. I didn't admire anyone from like growing up. I gave people props like, oh man, she's great, she can play. But I admire myself growing up because I felt like the only person that was in my way is me, and I still feel that way. You know what I mean? Like everyone's gonna have their shine, but I used to always focus on myself and tell myself like, okay, you got to stay ready because your time is coming and you got to be ready to accept it. So for me, I always admire myself, but the player that I admire the most is Simone Augustus that played for Minnesota Lynx. Mm-hmm. I admire her to this day. I always will. I've always watched every single game that she's played. I've watched her for college, WNBA, everything of that sort. I mean, I love how she plays, and I just study her game all the time. And studying her game made me want to study other people's game. I mean, people who's even my age now. Like, I study a lot of girls that's in college just because I want to see what makes them maybe a point second faster than me, what makes their shot get elevated. Like, I watch other girls play, and I say, okay, maybe if I take a page from them, it'll help my game. I mean, I'm sure people do that all the time, but and a lot of girls aren't used to doing things like that. Growing up, it's easy to say, man, she's overrated. Everyone thinks someone's overrated. Some people think that, you know what I mean? That's just how it's going to be. But I will give people their credit where it's due, and I do that all the time. I mean, even if I still feel like they're not better or anything, I'm still going to give them credit because it's something that they do better than me. It's always something that somebody else does better than me.
Yeah, kind of a mutual respect thing.
Oh, yeah. I try to teach all my teammates and everyone that you have to respect your opponent. I don't care if you think they suck. I don't care if you don't like them. You have to respect them. And I've never been the type, that comes in and like, man, I don't do stuff like that because I just feel like that's when they get you the most. For me, I trash talk on the game out there on the court. I will tell you that. But I won't do it until someone says it to me first. I'm very respectful until you disrespect me. Yeah. But I keep it respectful from jump because I think that's what players should do. Common courtesy, sportsmanship. But I don't take it well when people are not respectful.
Oh yeah, I can tell you play with an edge. Watching you this past season, every game. It's like that, I guess you could kind of say it's that Kobe killer instinct, that edge that you have during games. I mean, honestly, you're one of the, watching women's basketball consistently this year for the first time, really, for myself, that attitude and that mindset stood out to me. That attitude that you have on the court, that business-like mentality, the way you play the game, it's great to watch.
Thank you. I don't know. I'm really the sweetest person ever, but when I get out there, I just get mad. Like, and I like contact. I don't mind somebody fouling me unless it's like out of control.
Yeah, some crazy
but for me, I don't do well. Like teams warm up and things that I don't do well with teams talking trash in warm-ups. I don't like that because I just feel like that's really disrespectful. Like you got to at least respect us. You know what I mean? Like at least respect that we're about to go dog out at each other for 40 minutes. Respect that. Yeah. And a lot of teams learn this year when you talk trash around us in warm-ups, it don't come out too well for them. Yeah. Townsend did that and they was real upset when they lost. They did that. And I felt bad for them because I told them that's not nice. You don't talk trash about people before the game, at least during.
That's great.
But well, you're giving back. You're giving them lessons.
I'm telling you.
And I think I've told you before, you're my daughter's favorite player on the team.
Yay! I love kids. I love kids.
She's excited when she sees you play.
I love the kids. Yes.
That's great. Well, yeah, that we kind of give you the floor. If there's anything you want to shout out, any handles or anything, people follow you online or anything specific you want to kind of close with. It's all you.
Definitely just want to thank you guys for having me. It's definitely a great feeling. Definitely want to shout out my coaches, my team, definitely my family back at home. It's definitely, I I love being interviewed or anything of that sort, just talking, because it's a great feeling for everyone to be around and hear not just what I'm saying, but what's it about. You know, it's never about me, it's about my team. So it's a great feeling to talk about them and all the aspects we've been through. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're really happy for having you. Thank you again, Gigi. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm sure hopefully we'll have you on again next time.
Yes,
during
please.
the season.
Y'all should probably make me a regular. I think I bring life to the
absolutely.
radio show.
Hey, we
right?
can probably arrange that.
Gigi and the Beards?
Yeah, come on.
There you
Come
go.
on.
Yeah, I might take that. All right. But thank you for joining us, everybody. This has been another episode of Hawktalk with Easy and the Beards. Thank you, Gigi.
Thanks.